Hello and welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the SmallRig cage for my Nikon Z8. So let's get into it. Let's pop the box open, see what you get and see how well it works. So this is the camera cage itself. It's the model 3940. So we're going to pop the box open. And I'll show you that is the camera cage and a little booklet. So get rid of the box, pop this open, and this is the camera cage itself. Now the first thing you'll notice about the camera cage is that it has an Arca Swiss mount on the base of it, and it has a little rubber pad underneath here. It has the locking screw, and it also has an anti-rotation twist pin here too as well. So really cool. Number of mounting options on the side and on the top. I'm going to get into those in a small bit more detail later on. Cold shoe, and there's also a Nato rail in this. Let's pop it in the camera. Before we do, I'm going to take the L bracket for my Z8 off. Now I have another video up on this L bracket if you want to have a look at that. I'll leave a link for that in the description down below. So just simply unscrew this. So now we're going to mount the Nikon Z8 in the SmallRig 3940 camera cage. It's really straightforward. The first thing you're going to do is slide out the little key here, which you can use for locking and unlocking the camera cage on the tripod mount. So we're going to pop the Z8 into position here now and sit it in, and it sits into place, and then all we do is just screw in the big screw on the bottom here now, which fits into the tripod mount, and there we go. That is locked in place, and what we're going to do then is slide this key back in along again, and there you go. That's how I mount my Z8 in the SmallRig camera cage, but there is one other thing you have to do normally speaking. On the side here, there's a small little screw that actually goes through the camera support lug that actually screws in here, and it adds a bit more stability to your camera. Because of the fact that I chop and change between the L bracket and the camera cage, I actually don't use that screw. So I leave the little camera straps and everything else on, and the camera, while there is a small bit of flex when I push that there now, there is a tiny bit of flex, but personally I find it's very acceptable. But the one thing I would recommend you do here is I would move out this little lug. You can just open the Allen key and just slide this out a tiny bit so it puts a small bit more pressure on the camera strap here, so it helps to stabilize the camera a small bit more. But the camera is very solid even without that. And as you can see, I also still have my SmallRig quick release camera strap fittings still on the camera too as well, so it just means I can chop and change very easily. You can also attach your camera strap directly to the SmallRig 3940 camera cage if you're worried about the Z8 camera strap lugs coming loose, which has happened to a few people now apparently. There are two strap slots on the SmallRig 3940 camera cage. It's also one solid piece of metal with no joints in it, so there is no lug to come loose. Camera cages also offer more physical protection to your camera, so that's another positive. So what are the advantages of using a camera cage? Well, if you're like me, you'll probably chop and change between an L bracket and a camera cage quite frequently. And the reason being is for photography, an L bracket is incredibly handy. And as I mentioned before, I have a video on the SmallRig L Bracket and why you should buy one. I'm going to link that in the description down below, so do check that out. But a camera cage, why is it so important? Well, it's incredibly important if you're shooting video because the mounting options you have on this camera cage are absolutely crazy. Let's start with the Arri mounting options first. So you have 1, 2, looking at the cold shoes, you have 1, 2, as well as the original hot shoe is still available too as well. Then looking at 1/4-inch mounts, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Going on to the side, you have 5, 6, 7, 8, and then on the base, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then going off to the side, you have 15, 16, 17. So I'm counting 17 1/4-inch mounting points there, as well as the side Nato rail. And speaking of Nato rails, I just grabbed my side handle because I'm just going to show you how easily this pops on. So I just slide this out of the place, rotate this up along to roughly the height I want it, pull up the lever, lock it, and there we go. All of a sudden now, I have an absolutely incredible side handle mounted onto the side of the camera. If I want to take it off, that's it. So you can literally pop that on and off. That is the main advantage of these Nato rails. They are so incredibly easy to lock in place and to use. So getting back to the cold shoes then. The cold shoes are incredibly important if you want to mount an external microphone. So literally you just slide that in. If I can slide it in, it's a lot easier when you're not talking on camera. You can mount on your external mic, and there you go. All of a sudden you have an external mic fitted, and it is incredibly secure. So that is absolutely brilliant. And again, there's a second cold shoe mount on this side, so I can mount it here too as well, if I don't want to take up the hot shoe, of course. The next part then is the top handle. So I bought a new top handle for this. It's the model 3765. Yes, I am reading it off the back of the packaging, but let's pop this open and I'll show you why I picked this particular top handle. I picked this particular top handle because of the weight carrying capacity and because of how light it is. So as you can see, there's an Arri mount on that. I can literally pop that in place and screw that on top. Again, all these things are a lot easier when you're not filming yourself at the time. But now, here I have it. Again, all I'm missing is my lens now. So all of a sudden you can see this is really starting to become a camera rig. And again, so incredibly simple just to take all this stuff off. I can just pop down here, slide this out and unscrew this. It literally, you go from just having a standard camera to having a camera rig in about 30-40 seconds or even less. You can see now I'm back to just normal camera there now again, with my Arca Swiss mount built in underneath too as well again, of course, and all the different mounting options. So again, I just pop the Nato rail on, close that up, put on my top handle and just tighten that up along, and then I just fit on my cold shoe mount, and I am gone from having just your bog standard Nikon Z8 to having a video rig. So I can literally just catch a 24-70, pop that on, twist it in place, and all of a sudden, I have a serious bit of gear here now. This looks far more professional. It's far more versatile. It balances fairly well. And again, I have follow focus options, matte boxes and everything else I can pop on along here too as well. Magic arm mounts. I also have more cold shoe mounts now too as well again, because I have the cold shoe mount here and here. I have one here, I have one on the side here, one on the top and one on the back. So let's just say I will never run out of cold shoe mounts with this particular setup. So I'm going to leave details to the bits and pieces I have here in the description down below. So if you want to check it out, you can probably buy them off Amazon, you can buy them off the SmallRig website, you can buy them in loads of different resellers too as well. So do check them out. So we're nearly finished. The one thing that's missing off my camera rig is an external monitor. So what I normally use is the Adamas Ninja. It's actually recording me here now at the moment on my Z7 Mark II. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use a standard 7-inch monitor. I'm going to slide that on, lock it in place, and that is it. I have a really good video rig setup. Now, this is not my full video rig setup, and I'm going to pop up a video on these days too as well on how I built my video rig and all the bits and pieces I use, because it might be of use to some people out there. Do stay tuned for that one. And if you want to find out more about the Nikon Z8 and the settings I use, as well as a few tips and tricks I have for you, as well as the fall conditions and things like that, I have a Nikon Z8 video playlist, which I'm going to leave in the description down below too as well, and let it at the end of this video. So do click on that and check out the other videos. Until then, thanks for watching, and yes, my review is coming soon, and yes, my full video rig setup and also my video settings. That's the next thing for what I use when I'm out shooting. So that's something I'm going to get around to as well very soon. So thanks again for watching. See you out there and mind yourselves.